Okay, I have time, and I call the Newberry County Board of Zoning Appeals on August the 3rd, 2021 to order. Before we get started, I'd like to do a few housekeeping items, please. If you have a telephone, please turn it off or mute it so it will not interrupt our activities. If you're planning to address this board, you need to sign in with Miss Bridget. And when you're speaking, you are considered to be under oath. And when I call upon you, if you're going to speak, please come to the podium over here, state your name and address for the record. And you are the only case today, but we'll have a little business afterwards. After your case has been heard and acted upon, you can either stay or excuse yourself and exit quietly, please. Okay, we'll go from there. Each of you board members should have received a copy of the minutes from the July the 6th meeting. What is the request of this board?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Longshore, I've read the minutes,
Okay.
and I move that we accept the minutes as presented to us.
You got a motion to accept minutes as received?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Boland seconds. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the minutes are approved. And I was a little remiss. We have a new member of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mr. Hugh Lester is serving, so now we have a full contingent for the first time in quite a while. So we're glad to have it. Our chairman is out of town, and I'm presiding today, so we'll go from there. There's no old business to come before. Our first new business item is case number VA 01-07-06-21. It's a variance request for a 1-foot side yard setback for a pad addition to the existing open carport. The property is located at 949 Grant Drive, Prosperity, South Carolina. Tax map 591-1-1-68. Ms. Wertz.
Yes, the property owner is asking for a variance for the extension of the existing pad, and if you refer to this picture, back in 2009, a previous homeowner requested a variance for this existing shed. That variance was for a 2-foot variance. The new part that he's extended, because of the way that the property line turns a bit, that's gonna be 1 foot. One other thing I wanna point out is on this picture, you've got the fence. The fence is not directly on the property line. It's a little bit in his side. So when you look at the picture compared, that's why when we say he's already got a 2-foot variance, that's why it looks really close to the fence, but the fence is not on the property line. So he is asking for a 1-foot variance for the continuation of the concrete slab. Now, one thing is if he puts a shed or any kind of structure on top of the pad, at that time he will have to come back before you all to get a variance for the Lake Murray 358 setback. So today we're only considering the slab, not a structure that would go on top of the slab.
Okay. Anyone have on the board here have a question of Ms. Wertz?
Ms. Brooks, what's the staff?
The staff
position?
recommends it.
Pardon me?
The staff does recommend the variance.
Thank you.
I've got a question.
Okay.
Is that pad already poured?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It is there, yes.
That's what I thought when I looked at it. Okay. All right. Any other questions of Ms. Wertz? If not, we'll move on. Is there anyone here speaking in favor of this request? Yes, sir. If you would come forward to the podium and give us your name and address, please.
My name is John Foster. I live at 949 Grant in Prosperity. And all I'm trying to do is put up a boat shed for a little aluminum boat that I have to keep it out of the weather. When I get done, my plan is just to have the concrete slab and just a little metal roof over the boat. No walls, no electricity, none of that. So it's kind of a simple little thing. If you got any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
I don't know if you can answer this, Ms. Works, but you said if he were to put a top on it, he'd have to come back, so we're not considering the top, so he cannot put that on there, right?
We don't have on file a variance, for the 358 Lake Murray setback. And, based on what we've done this afternoon, he would have to get a variance to put it that close to the 358. So in other words, when you have a residence on both sides of you, you have to take the average of their setback. So if one's 100 and one's 50, it's got to be 75 feet, and this structure will not meet the average setback. So when he gets ready to pull permits for the structure part, we will have to come back before you all to get the Lake Murray setback. But we don't have a permit for a structure right now, it's just for the slab.
Okay, Mr. Foster, you understand that we are only considering today
Yes, sir.
the pad and nothing else?
Right.
Okay.
But just to add to it, I did talk to Dominion Gas Company, and they sent a guy out, and he showed me where the 360 is, and he said he thought everything would be fine, but I don't know what else I need to do to make that happen, but.
On Dominion side, you're good, but now you've got to work with us on the
Okay.
setback for
I
our
didn't
Newberry
know.
County.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a question. When
Okay.
was the pad that's shown poured or installed?
Now, the original pad was built back in the 80s. The part that I added on to already had, well, Mr. Perez here from Twin City Roofing Company. He dug down a little bit and found a foundation already there, so he just came up with the blocks, and that was back first of the summer.
So really,
April.
you built it without the approval, is that correct? Am I correct in
Yes, sir.
assuming that?
Yes, sir. I didn't know. Me and
Okay.
Mr. Perez didn't know we needed anything. We just
Okay,
assumed.
but I'm just trying to get a clarification,
Yes,
because I looked at the
That's true.
information and I said, that pad's already there, so.
Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
already there.
Anybody else have any questions of Mr. Foster? Okay, Mr. Foster, thank you.
All right, thank
Anyone
y'all.
else speaking in favor of this request? Hearing none, is anyone here speaking against this request? Yes, ma'am, would you please come forward and state your name, please?
Good evening. I'm Julie King, and we're at 18 Coveview Road, which is right next door to the property. Mr. Teddy Hawkins had the property back in the early 2000s, and we did receive a call from him stating that they were interested in putting up a small structure on that line where they then built the existing structure that is there. I think it was probably in 2009 or 2010. I'm not 100% positive, but I think it's around that time. We did not come to the variance hearing then because we didn't really understand what he was thinking about doing by putting the structure that is currently there that you see the picture of. It was approved, and then when he put it up, we noticed that it was extremely close to our property line. And as Ms. Wirtz said, that the fence does go a little bit into his property, but it does butt up to that. We just got concerned about the additional pad that has been poured. My husband was up there one day and heard them putting the new structure in, and so that caused concern for us. We're just concerned about the aesthetics of the property, butting right up to our property, and also the possible resale value, because I think it's supposed to be a 7-foot variance setback between the two properties, so that's our concern with that.
I'm sorry, I did not get your name,
It's Julie, Julie King, King.
okay? Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a question for Ms. Julie. All right, so For you and your husband, the pad's already there. I guess the overall concern is it the pad as it is now, or is the overall concern about future growth of the
More or less
addition being added onto it?
future and not knowing what potentially could go there. I mean, if a big, huge Winnebago gets parked there, that adds a different level of concern. You know, we heard the intent for it, but the pad itself, like you said, it's already there, and understanding that there may be another hearing that we would have to come to see about that, knowing that.
Okay.
Do you have any strict objections to what's already there? And seeing what's there now?
Seeing what's there, I mean, it's already there. I mean, it's concrete brick already poured.
Okay. Well, we today are only going to consider that pad, nothing else. And if you've heard,
Sure.
and in the future, you'll have to come back for any additional information.
Okay.
Any other questions, Miss Julie? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Is anyone else here speaking against this request? Okay, board members, you must consider the following in acting upon this request. Excuse me, my glass fogged up. We must consider as a board 153.052A through F of the zoning ordinance. And it is as follows, 153.052C1-5. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property. These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district. 3, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the use of the property. 4, the authorization of the variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. And 5, the effect of the variance will not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, would not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, and would not change the zoning district boundaries shown in the official zoning map. We must also consider 153.172, the lot area with setback requirements. You've heard the pros and the cons for this request. What is the wishes of this board? The staff recommends approval.
Move to accept as requested, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Boland moves to accept the request.
Second.
Ms. Coleman seconds. Any further questions or discussions from this board?
Mr. Chairman, just one comment, just for Mr. Foster. I just want to reiterate, when you get ready to add on, if you're going to do anything with that slab, make sure you run it by, because this could have went really south here with our board. If they voted against it, you'd had to tear out that slab. And we're here to work with people, and both the pros and the cons. And so I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Okay?
Okay, any other comments?
Yes, sir.
Then all in favor of granting this request signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Your request is granted with the stipulation that if anything else is done on this pad in the area, you must come back before this Board of Zoning Appeals. You have to work with Ms. Bridget and those and go from there, and Ms. Wertz. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, there's no other business to come before it. Our next scheduled meeting is scheduled for September the 7th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. And I will just make one comment. Don't forget your training requirements before the end of the year. See Bridget or Ms. Wertz, and they'll tell you the status of that.
We got business for September?
We do.
Okay, we will look to see everybody on September the 7th at 5:30. I'll accept the motion that we adjourn.
Mr. Longshore, I move that the meeting adjourn for
Ms. Coleman makes a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Ransdale seconds. All in favor, rise. Thank you very much.